was 1981. The climate for international air travel was fiercely competitive. The market at zero growth. Years of dismal profitability, high fuel prices, and airline price wars left Scandinavian Airlines System, or SAS, in financial turmoil. With losses of nearly $20 million, industry experts were predicting SAS would never fly again. But flying was in SAS's future. Jan Carlson, the admired, aggressive leader of the Swedish domestic airline and SAS affiliate Linjeflyg, was recruited to turn around the struggling airline. With a proven track record of rebuilding companies such as Linjeflyg and Vingresor, a Swedish tour operating company and SAS subsidiary, Carlson was well respected for his unconventional solutions to improve the bottom line. His first goal upon joining SAS was to successfully orchestrate a turnaround strategy by restructuring the company to become more customer-oriented. Carlson wanted everyone in the company, from headquarters executives to baggage handlers at remote check-in terminals, to be focused on service. His first task, evaluate the competition.
Now we went into a situation where competition started to grow in the marketplace. The market stood still. There was no increase in the market, while the production among the airlines was still increasing. So we ran into a situation where the supply was bigger than the demand. In other words, we had to compete. And when we sat down and looked into the situation, we very soon realized that to cut cost once again would be the same as if we used the brake of a car that was already standing still. We would have no positive effect from that. So what we did was that we formed a new business strategy for our company. Our objective was to be profitable in the flight operation, which we never had been before.
Carlson felt that to slash spending and cut his losses would do nothing to help him reach his goal of improved service and satisfied customers. Instead, he opted to spend more, but only on services that would benefit the most profitable segment of the market, the frequent business traveler.
Then we said that our business strategy must be to be the preferred airline, the best airline for the frequent business traveler. In other words, we should ask ourselves, is this service required by the business travelers or not? If the answer was not, get rid of it. If it was yes, let's develop it. Let's make it even better, more competitive. That was not very unique and not very smart. Every airline in the world know that this is the market segment you have to get as your customers to be profitable. But we said that the way we do it will be the key to success.
Founded in 1946 and headquartered in Stockholm, the SAS Group is a vast conglomerate of airlines, hotels, ground transportation companies, and catering services. It is jointly owned by public and private interests in Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. Employing well over 35,000 employees, SAS has gained an international reputation as a service leader. Jan Carlson and his staff are highly regarded for their ability to turn serious economic losses into healthy profits. In early 1981, after 17 years of profit, SAS was headed toward a $20 million loss. But by the end of the year, SAS surprised the experts and increased their earnings by nearly $80 million. This impressive turnaround came about as the organization refocused its goals. SAS shifted its most important assets from its planes to its customers. Frequent business travelers would now guide every decision, every investment. By spending more money on services that would benefit the frequent business traveler, SAS could gain a competitive edge. They called it the first wave.
The first thing we did after having passed a year with the heaviest loss in our history, the first thing we did was to invest in more money, to spend more money for better services, to be more competitive, and to get a more profitable situation as a reward for our investment, of course.
By eliminating all costs that didn't relate directly to the customer, SAS could offer the business traveler more services for the same price. Consistent with the company goal of market orientation, and the decision to focus on the needs of the business traveler, SAS instituted Operation Punctuality. Carlson felt that the best way to gain the trust of the frequent business traveler was not through free booze and more legroom, but by becoming the most punctual airline in Europe. In an effort to lure more passengers to pay full fare, SAS dropped its first-class European service in favor of Euroclass. Euroclass offered the business traveler many more services for a full fare price. New services included separate check-in, private waiting areas, and better quality food. The strategy was to fill as many seats as possible with full-fare business travelers. That way, remaining seats could be filled by tourists at lower prices. Customers responded. Planes were full and profits were up. With new market strategies in place, Carlson took his vision to the frontline employees. He and his executive team embarked on an aggressive retraining effort aimed at refocusing the attitudes towards service of more than 35,000 employees.
Yes.
Lars Erik Antonsen is SAS's Director of Management Development. He was involved with communicating the new business strategies to all SAS employees.
In most companies, you're supposed to work towards the company's goals, but very often, or almost every time, they are not distributed, but this time be presented for all our organization, also for people around, outside the company, our goals, our strategies.
Carlson knew it was critical for SAS employees to clearly understand the company message. Shunning traditional communication devices, he employed a special development group to create and distribute a series of cartoon-style booklets explaining why SAS was in trouble and its strategy to put the company back on track. These booklets were designed to convince employees they should take responsibility for carrying out the new corporate vision. Reactions, however, were mixed.
And that meant that a lot of people in the organization thought that goals and strategies should be typewritten, thick amount of papers. That's the way you describe a strategy, not in cartoons or pictures. And the other half, almost of the company, said, this is a language that we can understand. Whatever you had for opinion about it, that meant that about 16,000 people suddenly have an opinion of our goals and strategies, and were discussing it around coffee breaks, and they have it in our office. We made surveys that show that almost everyone at least read that book twice.
Carlson's new organization would be formed by literally turning the corporate structure upside down. He decentralized responsibility and decision-making from top management to frontline employees. He called it inverting the pyramid. Traditional tiers of responsibility were eliminated, and managing was shifted from the executive suite to the operations level. Everyone became a manager of their own situation.
Passengers who are continued by air out of Paris and who have problems reaching this flight will receive new reservations on arrival in Paris.
Frontline employees were given the authority to respond quickly and directly to customer needs without management approval. SAS employees who had direct contact with customers became the most important people in the organization.
You have to start in the marketplace. You must plan from outside and in, and you must be very flexible and very sensitive to change in the marketplace. Because of that, you must distribute responsibility and authority to the people who is working closest to the market, who knows what is happening out there. And that's why the people in the front line should have both the authority and the responsibility to have their own analysis, to take their own decisions and take their own actions.
Karl-Axel Stahl van Holstein, SAS's Director of Economic Planning and Control, explains the new philosophy.
By decentralizing the organization, by delegating the responsibility for many things, I mean, that's where you flatten the organization. That is, you don't have a hierarchy where there's only the manager that can make a decision, but anyone can make responsibility, take the responsibility, make the decision. And I think that's what's most important, focusing on the individual.
Giving more responsibility to frontline personnel enabled them to provide the kind of service they wanted to all along, but couldn't because of the company's hierarchical structure. Peter Forsman, in charge of company-wide sales for SAS, talks about the importance of getting frontline people to share Carlson's vision.
If you want to have a strong and service-oriented organization over the time, the basic problem is quite easy. You have to make people feel that they are building a cathedral, not cutting stones. And that sounds simple. The way to do it is, of course, that you have to communicate the ideas and strategies and messages of the company out to the latest local baggage handler, for instance. And he must know about the basic idea, the business mission, the competition situation, and all that kind of things. Even at the small outstation, we want the station manager not just to be a process guy of station procedures, but to be a little kind of chief executive officer, understanding the whole idea of it.
With decisions being made at the front line, employees could respond quickly and directly to passengers' needs. To support this philosophy, Carlson created the position of service manager. The service manager's job is to help resolve customer problems on the ground so they wouldn't be passed on to the crew. Frontline employee Anastina Blomberg, a service manager for 4 years, explains why her position is so important.
I work as a service manager, and it's something new for SAS. We are a group, we are 30 persons together. We have a Euro-class lounge and a first-class lounge. What is so nice with my work is that I have to solve the problem immediately. And I don't have to ask anyone what to do. I have to figure it out. We try to solve all the problems, even before they've started, if that's possible.
Armed with decision-making responsibilities, frontline employees enthusiastically assumed their newfound roles as problem solvers. As a result, middle managers were asked to take on new roles supporting frontline personnel.
The middle management then, they will be the internal service troops who supplies the frontline people so that they can be able to perform on behalf of your company. And the top management, who used to be the managers, taking all decisions, pointing out with a full hand as an officer and so on, they will be the strategic leadership. The leadership that have the vision, who forms the objective, the strategy, who develops the organization, who communicate with the organization, who train and educate the organization to make it possible for them to take the responsibility. The management, you could say, is a visionary, strategic management, and also the communicators, the preacher man, who tells the people in which framework they have their responsibility, and who makes it possible for them to take responsibility. Because a person who has not got information cannot take responsibility, while a person who has got information cannot escape from taking responsibility.
With managers used to issuing orders to frontline employees, many felt unsure of their new supporting role.
The biggest problem is the middle management, because it was easy to motivate a person to be promoted from being a frontline people to be a middle manager, as long as the middle management thought that they were the one who directed and instructed and gave orders to the frontline people. But to be promoted to serve your own fellow frontline people is not that easy to motivate.
Carlson uses the concept of internal service to describe management's new role.
So this needs a lot of training and this communication and understanding that internal service is as important as the external service from the frontline people to the customers. And the external service from a company will never be better than what the internal service from the middle management to the frontline people is in the company.
Managers like Mai Nikamo responded well to their new role. She's manager of arrival and special service.
My role as a leader has changed in a way that from being the boss, telling people what to do, I now support them. I'm more of a coach. We very much believe in management by walking around. I was working this one night when this gentleman came in on a delayed flight and missed a connection domestic in Sweden, quite far up north. And usually we would put the passengers in a hotel and book them for the next morning. And so we had done with this passenger too, and he said, oh, well, I don't want to stay at a hotel tonight. I want to rent a car instead. And now this was something that I hadn't done before, and in the old times, before JC, I would have had to ask someone if I could really do this, because how should we debit it and then how should we do it? And now I could just, with my own common sense, figure out that it would actually be a cheaper thing to do, to give him a rental car. You can do anything as long as you can explain what you thought and why you did it.
John Ovrihus is manager of ס.א.ס.'s Royal Viking Hotel. He knows if he is to gain the respect of his people, he must lead by deed, not just by word.
I think it is very important that you have leaders that really want to carry out the philosophy, not just talk about it, but do the philosophy themselves. I mean, it's very easy to talk about what we should do, but you have to show it yourself. If I do something wrong, I have been told from the staff that this is not the ס.א.ס. philosophy, John, you have to do something about yourself. So I know they know a lot about philosophy.
Another important aspect of Carlson's organizational restructuring was to create a work environment consistent with his strategy to make service a #1 priority. He built impressive new corporate headquarters outside Stockholm. Its award-winning design is a symbol of the company's commitment to openness, unity, and communication.
You see, when ס.א.ס. was founded in 1946, we built our head office, as most of the airlines always has done it, at the airport of Stockholm. But of course, we grew out of that office, and a couple of years ago we were distributed in I think 34 different locations.
Carlson found the climate for communication difficult and creativity stifled. He set out to build a central organization where communication could flow easily through departments and creativity would thrive. Carlson did not want upper management to be at the top of the building in a position where they could look down on the workers. He wanted management to be a support group, one that worked side by side to assist the troops.
And if you look at this building, it's very interesting. It could very well have been an Empire State Building, and I'm sure that the architect should have placed myself and my colleagues at the top of this building. But it is not. It's a building that is digged into, or we have excavated a sand hill. So the building goes down into the ground, you could say. And that should symbolize that we are working from below and lifting the organization, not overlooking it.
The building is an architectural interpretation of ס.Α.ס.'s philosophy of decentralization. The entire complex is composed of 9 different buildings, each of which is self-sufficient. They are linked together by a street, a meeting place, where employees are encouraged to participate in spontaneous meetings. Carlson believes this environment contributes to creative thinking.
And I think that this building is one of the best way of showing people that we pay respect to people, we have faith in people, because if you didn't have respect in people, you would never build an office like this.
Peter Forsman agrees that the building creates a healthy, productive work environment for home office employees.
We don't control people, whether they come at 8:22 and leave at 16:45 and things like that. And because the whole system is actually self-controlling. And, you know, you can go down to the cafe in this office, or you can go to the sauna during office time, and people do. And someone asked me, aren't you afraid that they will spend the whole day in the sauna and in the cafe? now, because everyone will see them.
Carlson feels that if you provide a positive environment for employees, external services will also benefit.
The better internal service, the better support we give to them, the better chances they will have to perform well on behalf of ס.א.ס. towards our customers. Internal services are as important as the external services.
Creating a healthy, productive work environment also involves choosing the right people for the job. But Carlson is quick to point out a complete restructuring cannot be successful without providing the right training.
But today, when you, as a leader, give the framework and give the direction and let people free to have their own responsibility and authority, then you have to rely on them. So it's damn important that you have the right people out there. And if they cannot cope with their new responsibilities, you have to change them. You have to educate them, communicate with them, try to make the best out of it. But if it's not successful, you have to change it.
Many of ס.א.ס.'s 35,000 employees stay with the company a lifetime. Turnover is low because the company is unusually flexible with retraining and moving employees from job to job. Manager Mai Nikimo believes that employees at ס.א.ס. can continue to grow and find new challenges.
You have a lifetime career and don't have to work with the same thing all your life if you don't want to, because we can get more education, go into our headquarters and work with other things. And we're really planning this very much now to our education, to develop people to go on within the company.
ס.א.ס.'s extensive continuing education and retraining programs also contribute to low employee attrition rates. Peter Forsman explains.
So although the business has expanded for some 30–40% over those 5 years, the number of employees is almost the same. This means that a very small number leave the company every year, and we don't have to recruit very much. We know that even the luggage handler at one of the outstations, he will be with ס.א.ס. for his full career. And we normally don't want him to be a luggage handler for his whole life. So we try to stimulate him to look for other jobs within the company. We try to give him training possibilities and things like that. And it's also one of those ongoing challenges to make this system work.
Ongoing challenges are something Jan Carlson is all too familiar with. After the success of his first wave strategies, Carlson found he had to continue to develop new directions for ס.א.ס. to move in.
After having launched this Businessman's Airlines concept, we ran into some problems, you should know that, because the success came too fast, I would say. We were profitable already after 1 year, and we got proofs from outside that we fulfilled our strategy to be the preferred airline for the frequent business traveler already the second or the third year. We got Fortune magazine told that we were the best airline for the frequent business traveler. Other magazines did it. And also we got the Airline of the Year award as, you could say, as some kind of symbolic proof that we really achieved our goals and strategies. Now, of course, when this happened, people started to say, what's next? What's up now? And it came too soon. I mean, we were not prepared. And with my strategic leadership, it's my responsibility to form the new objective that people could go for, because they need an objective that is common for all the organization.
During the first wave, the entire company was unified behind a single goal: to provide the best service to the frequent business traveler. But once this objective was achieved, motivated employees were left without a specific strategy to give them focus. The situation was frustrating, and many split off into competitive groups with their own agendas. Peter Forsman.
As long as we have established strategies, the communication system works quite well, I think. We have, at least it works better today than it did 5 years ago. And but when we are changing strategies, and of course we are, because we don't succeed in all different areas, changing strategies always create some kind of turbulence. And changing the strategy can be initiated from Jan Karlsson very often, but also it could as well be initiated out at one of the small outstation, who is the first place where they get the indications. The process when we change creates turbulence. The moment we have decided our new strategy and communicated out, okay, then it's a more relaxed situation. So we have had periods of quite some turbulence over these years because we have had to re-evaluate and to change some of our major strategies.
Jan Karlsson speaks of one such period when his own management group had filled one set of objectives and wanted to move on, but lacked guidance.
Now they started to develop their own objectives. What was important for the people working out there in the station? What was important for the crews? What was important for the administrators? They started to form their own new objectives, and they perhaps also started to change little the strategies that would better fit their situation. So instead of having 35,000 people aligned towards the same overall objective and strategy, you saw that people started to dilute, so that some people went that way and some people that way. So I think that my responsibility was to either to bring back all decisions to this table again, which would have been impossible because then we could never have been the market-oriented and service competitive enterprise, or to find a new objective that perhaps should be a little more long-term, and either to change the strategy or to confirm a strategy as the right one.
Karlsson immediately stepped in and made new demands on employees. He asked them to provide more services at less cost and cut expenses that didn't result in more revenue. These requests grew into a strategy that put Karlsson and his staff back on the offensive. Facing airline deregulation in Europe, he and his team devised a proactive plan to expand and excel. They would continue to reinforce operations, reinvest in new aircraft, and provide cost-effective services, while continuing to cater to the business traveler, still the most profitable segment of the market. Karl-Axel Stahl von Holstein knows the road ahead will require stringent planning.
ס.א.ס. is now facing deregulation, as you're saying. We're also facing a very major investment program, changing our fleet. And those together require a very stringent planning. This means that we have to set very clear goals and make sure that we meet them. And we have to make sure that we meet those goals even in a situation where we have maybe more intense competition than we've had in the past.
The strategy to remain competitive in a deregulated climate involves expanding beyond the traditional airline-oriented focus to become a full-service global travel system for business travelers. The goal is for a business traveler to make a single phone call to ס.א.ס. to arrange ground transportation, hotels, meeting and conference rooms, and all airline flights or connections for an entire trip. Karlsson came up with the idea after realizing that he and the flight crews had always received this treatment as airline employees.
Why we did this was that we figured out that we ourselves, the managers of the airline, when we used to travel abroad, we got all these services from our people working out there. They took care of the ground transportation, they checked us in at the hotels and everything, and we liked it. So we said, why the hell wouldn't our customers like it?
Joan Overhuus describes how ס.א.ס. hotels contribute to the philosophy of a global service company.
I think that most of our hotels are designed for business people. We know they are in a hurry, and we try to meet their needs in that way. We, for instance, have hotel check-in at the airport. So if you want to leave your luggage at the airport and check in there, that's okay. When you arrive at the hotel, you will find the luggage in your room. We also have check-in at the hotel if you want to use our planes. So you will have your seat reservation and everything at the hotel. You can just leave your luggage there, and you will get your luggage when you land somewhere around in the world.
Expanding ס.א.ס. into a global service company will involve partnerships with companies like the Japan-based ס.א.ס. Group, owners of the Intercontinental Hotel chain. Yuji Tsutsumi of the ס.א.ס. Group explains one of the reasons why he chose ס.א.ס. as a partner.
Mr. Carlson's leadership and the concept, and SAS, the corporate culture, that really attracted us.
Outlining new challenges facing SAS as it strives to become a global service company is John Overhus.
But we also have a lot of competitors. And in that way, there is a war also here. So we have to fight for the customers. And if we, we can fight them by having better service than other hotels, we will win. So that's the simple philosophy.
With company strategies identified and cultural changes nearly in place, it might be easy to become complacent. But Mai Nikamo cautions there are still obstacles to overcome.
And we're not ready yet. The front line got their first attention. Changing an organization like this, changing roles like this, it'll take about 7 to 10 years. They say that changes of attitude takes about 7 years. I can see that's true. This year we're going to work very much for a new personal idea which says confidence, change, and possibilities. Because we know the future is changing so much that in order to be able to change, you need to be confident.
Carlson's future plans? Prepare for deregulation through increased efficiency in the short term. Set up a reservation and information system. Develop a more competitive system of routes and flight schedules. And continue to do what he has been doing so effectively since 1981. Keep the company profitable.
And I think we are moving into a position that will really make SAS a strong service company, not only airline now, but a service company and an international global service company.
With strong leadership and well-executed strategies, SAS has positioned itself to be the most efficient, service-oriented airline in Europe. In an age of deregulation and stiff competition, will SAS continue to soar above the others?